Hi everyone, welcome to the show. This is the podcast show for female entrepreneurs in business, and I'm your host, Shanti, founder of the Female Entrepreneur Collective. I'm a certified business and mindset coach, and I went from being in my overdraft for over a decade to generating over £1 million in online sales just over a few short years. So this is the podcast for you if you want to learn more about scaling your business, starting your business, you want to learn more about mindset and healing in business and spirituality as well. We'll be here every week delivering those conversations for you. And I just want to say, welcome to the show. So welcome everyone to the Asian Female Entrepreneur Show. So today we have such an inspiring and amazing guest with us. But before we get started with her, I just wanted to say thank you so much, everyone, for all the love and support that we are receiving for the podcast. It's truly blown me away. So if you're enjoying our conversations, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel on Apple and Spotify so that we can keep growing and serving you. So without further ado, let's dive in. So today I have the amazing Keisha with us. Keisha is a PCOS health coach, entrepreneur, and the founder of Fitness with Keisha and Shanti. Through her coaching app and sold out PCOS walks, she's helped countless women restore their cycles, boost fertility, and take control of their health. Passionate about holistic wellness, she also runs Shanti, which offers Herbal brands designed to support women's hormones. Keisha's on a mission to empower women with PCOS to thrive. So welcome, Keisha.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
It's so wonderful to have you. And I just really resonate with your work because I feel like for someone who has previously suffered with PCOS, it's something that's really, really close to my heart. And of course, I feel like there's just this big kind of epidemic with PCOS and women's health and women's hormones. And I think, it's really coming to the forefront now. And I think maybe in previous decades, women maybe just didn't know that they had PCOS. But I just know so many women that have been impacted by it, including myself, of course. Mm-hmm. So I was just really excited to speak to you about this. So can you just first of all start with a bit about your journey and what led you to start your business?
Yeah, of course. Firstly, I agree with everything that you're saying. I do feel as though there is so much more around PCOS now, but I think the incredible thing is that so many more people are talking about PCOS, which makes us think that there is an epidemic around hormonal imbalance and women's health. But I just feel like people are becoming more comfortable being a little bit more vulnerable with their problems. And especially after the isolation that we all experienced during COVID, that has probably allowed a lot of people to go inwards and do a lot of self-work, self-reflection, and then open up with that vulnerability, especially in the South Asian community with PCOS and women's health or sexual health being quite a taboo topic. More and more people are talking about it, and I think that is incredible. But yeah, I'll jump to your question about my own journey. So I was diagnosed with PCOS just as I became a teenager, around 13, 14. I actually got my periods when I was in year 5 for the first time, and then they disappeared. They were very sporadic. I felt extremely uncomfortable in my body from that age onwards because I could never see somebody else in my classroom mirroring the same things I was going through. So I would be the kid who skipped out on the swimming lessons that you'd go to once a week, sometimes with classes, because I'd have a random period. It wouldn't be once a month. It would maybe be twice a month or not for 8 weeks. It was just very random. And this was unheard of to my parents as well. My mum never experienced symptoms of PCOS. I would look at my mom sometimes thinking, I'd love to see something that I can see in myself, like for example, excessive hair growth and stuff, but I just never saw it in anyone around me. So that was a big isolation factor of PCOS that affected my mental health from, I'd say, teenagehood, the whole of teenagehood. It was a big part of my life that I just kept to myself because even then I never felt comfortable to speak about it. So what led me to create Fitness with Keisha and then also my branch off into Shanti was the passion for knowing how much I've been able to help myself on my journey and just wanting to see others do the same. I have gone back to my high school a couple of times and, you know, I can see young girls who are going through a little bit of a crisis in, you know, the way that they are finding themselves. And that it's those things that drive me so much more to talk more about women's health, talk about the uncomfortable things, but very normal and, you know, human things that we go through as women. So yeah, that's I suppose how Fitness with Keisha came about.
I love that so much. So what year was it that you started your business?
I started my Instagram page in 2018.
Wow.
But I launched Fitness with Keisha, I believe it was 2019 December.
Yeah.
So just going into just before lockdown.
Yeah.
And I remember, because I used to film a lot of my workouts in the gym, all of a sudden my workouts changed to filming in my apartment.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just spoke more and more about what I was eating, what I was going through on a day-to-day basis, the amount of times I had to wake up and the first thing I'd do was pluck my chin hairs at my chin, things like that. Yeah. So yeah.
And with PCOS, like for anyone that doesn't know, they might have just heard about PCOS because it's like, I think everyone's pretty familiar with that term now. What is actually PCOS?
Yeah, so PCOS is polycystic ovary syndrome. So polycystic ovary syndrome can manifest as little polycysts around your ovaries that come and go. These are basically immature follicles that don't end up releasing an egg, and it can cause delays in ovulation, therefore a delay in a period. But you don't necessarily have to have polycystic ovaries to have polycystic ovaries syndrome.
Yeah.
You also experience irregular cycles, therefore finding it hard to ovulate. And if you're finding it hard to ovulate, you don't know when your cycle's happening, that can make it harder when you're trying to get pregnant. But PCOS isn't just infertility and irregular periods or weight gain. For many people, you can be a perfectly fine weight, but you can still experience extreme fatigue, excessive hair growth from like high levels of androgens, hair loss. You can experience acne. And I experienced actually all of the symptoms, hyperpigmentation, and many other things that you can experience that are like knock-on effects from PCOS. Like you might have seen on my page, I speak about mood swings often. And a lot of the symptoms that we experience can then go ahead and trigger mood swings because, you know, it's not nice waking up and having to shave your face or, you know, put another spot sticker on your face and leave the house just to feel comfortable. So those can then trigger a lot of changes in our moods.
Yeah, I love that so much. Thank you so much for sharing that. And do you think like high achieving women suffer more with PCOS, or do you think it's quite difficult to say that, like maybe entrepreneurs because maybe they're stressed, for example?
This is a great question because throughout my time of coaching women and seeing the women that my team coach as well, we end up working with a lot of women who are in quite stressful situations, whether that be stressful situations at home, whether they be entrepreneurs or they be running their own companies or just being in somewhere in their life. Stress is a big factor. I feel like that's probably quite common for a lot of people who are listening to this. Stress can come in many forms. It can come in family stress, financial stress, you know, school, all sorts. So I think, yes, definitely.
Yeah, I love that so much because when I got diagnosed with PCOS, I remember really clearly, like the year before I got, like 2 years before I got diagnosed, like when I started my, first of all, I used to have a wedding planning business.
Oh, cool.
And obviously that was doing so well, but it was like bringing so much stress. And I remember I was living in Canada, for the listeners, they probably know this, but I was living in Canada because my husband was working in Canada. So I was back and forth a lot. And I remember there was this one winter where like I'd been fully booked with weddings, like my AFEC coaching business was like taking off. I just launched my membership. I'd come back to England, but like I remember so clearly, like my whole one side of my chin, like my right, it was just all cystic acne. And I remember thinking like, what is that? Because I never had acne in my life. Like even when I was a teenager, never had acne. And then I just kind of like disregarded it. And like, I think in 2018, there just wasn't that awareness of health that there is now.
Yeah.
And I remember the following year, I just had like a bit of a pain in my back. And then basically I went to the hospital. They diagnosed me with PCOS. But then at that time, I got put onto the fast track ovarian cancer like list as well. Because they were like, okay, there's a couple of cysts there. But you know, we think there's something else there that we really need to delve into. Yeah. And I think because of the NHS and how in previous decades, they weren't taking ovarian cancer so seriously and it was going undetected, they really wanted to, like, they literally pushed me through and got me checked. But they also did say to me, oh, I remember the doctors, honestly, she was just literally like, obviously that was all clear and it was great, but it was like the most scariest time of my life. But they were like, yeah, you've got like PCOS and you're going to find it really hard to lose weight. And yeah, you're probably going to get like endometriosis and it's probably going to get like a lot worse. And I was like, oh my God. But then actually I just took matters. First of all, I was in denial. Like I just didn't want to think about it. But then I started taking matters into my own hands because I think it then started impacting like my gut health.
Yes.
And the fatigue I had was insane.
Yeah.
So it was so bad, honestly. I would sometimes be in bed like at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, just literally like dying in my bed. Until then I worked with a health coach like a couple of years ago and we really worked on all of that stuff. And now really, I know I don't have endometriosis, but like it doesn't really like impact me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
My periods are really regular. So I think that it's definitely, you can heal it. What's your thoughts on that?
So by the way, I love that. I completely relate to at 1 p.m. just being in your bed because the fatigue it's, you know, when I was pregnant with Ahana, I thought that pregnancy fatigue was bad, but because I had experienced PCOS fatigue, what I was experiencing during pregnancy was not that bad. But I found that, you know, with what you've just shared, you can totally, I say to everybody, you can manage your PCOS to a point where you don't find it affecting you, you know, in any way really. But something that you will notice is if you start keeping yourself under high stress situations or put yourself into a really stressful environment, which we don't obviously do by choice, but it does end up happening sometimes. It happens to me even now. You put yourself in a high stress situation and you consistently keep yourself there. You consistently neglect yourself and stop pouring into your own cup. That will then manifest as PCOS symptoms showing up again. So when you were talking about like your cystic acne that you saw on one side of your face, right? The thing that clicked in my head, I was thinking gut health as well, because another thing that affects our gut microbiome is our stress. So like everything starts in the mind, it affects the gut, and it almost has like a domino effect on everything else that we do. And so, yeah, I like to say to everybody that you can manage your PCOS symptoms. And when I say manage, I mean you can get it to a point where, similar to where I am right now, it's not affecting me. You will not see it manifest in the way that I was living, I'd say maybe even 6 years ago. But I know tomorrow, and this actually happened to me 2 weeks ago, but I know if I stop eating well for myself, what I know works for me, if I neglect myself and I don't go and work out because I know that's a bit of me time and I really enjoy training, if I stop moving my body as much and I, you know, don't do my 5-10 minute meditation before bed, it will creep back in. I noticed the fatigue pretty much instantly, the anxiety instantly. Just a few days ago, I was sitting on the couch and I actually just started crying because I was like, where is this anxiety coming from? I sat down to reflect on how my week had been, and my week had been jam-packed with stress, trying to balance a few other like businessy things, trying to figure out my own schedule, trying to feel like I was being a good parent. And I recognized exactly where that was coming from. So a big part of it is taking a big chunk of accountability and having that self-awareness to be okay with making the change, but recognizing that the change is something that you're going to have to consistently keep up with.
I love that so much. And the thing about, there's so many things swirling around in my head when you were saying that.
Yeah.
I think the other issue that we have is that, like, especially like 2018, circa 2018, 2019, like it was so glamorized to like work yourself into a ground as a woman. So I remember I used to wake up and I used to literally down black Americanos, which is just so bad. Like I know now, I actually don't drink caffeine anymore because it does it makes me anxious. If I have it, I'll have to have it in the morning, but after breakfast to balance like everything. I was just like knocking back black Americanos on an empty stomach like it's going out of fashion. And I think the other thing is, especially like obviously we're in the UK, but like mostly in the Western world, like there's just this hustle culture.
Yeah.
And I think also with women, we're meant to apparently be competing with men. But what I've realized is in my journey, like our bodies are so different.
Yes.
And I think we just try and work like men. And when you work like men, you do become ill. And I think the other thing is like, it's the culture, especially with the Asian culture as well. A lot of us have been, you know, brought up to see our parents working into the ground, like our mothers, our grandmothers. And I think it's almost like, I know some people might listen to this and they might be thinking, oh my God, but that's like, that me time is like so luxurious. Like, I can't do that. But it actually gets to a point, if you don't do it, like you burn out, but your health takes such a hit that you can't do anything then anyway.
Well, I was saying this to a client on the phone yesterday. We were talking a little bit about balancing work and life. We show up for work meetings because it is non-negotiable. If it's in our calendar, we are going to be there. Why can we not create that same boundary for ourselves and put meetings in with ourselves? Those are meetings where we might have a moment to just deep breathe. We might go for a 15-minute walk. We might get a little workout in. But that too is just as important as that business meeting that you're going to turn up to. I relate to what you said about you being that person who used to down caffeine back in that era, because I was exactly the same. I don't speak about this a lot. Actually, I don't think I've spoken about it enough on social media, or if any. I had a pre-workout addiction before I started working on myself. So my pre-workout addiction got to the point where I think, I was having around maybe 400 mgs of caffeine a day, simply to just wake up and work. I would wake up at 4 a.m. I would go and PT. After that, I worked in the tech world. So I used to then log on for my tech consultancy job at 9 o'clock, do that. Then I would work for myself late in the evening. So I was basically constantly awake. And the only reason I was constantly awake is because I was taking this pre-workout. And when I was doing that, and I realized it was an addiction because I wasn't taking it to work out. I was taking it to wake up in the morning. I was taking it to start my work day. I was then taking it to get my workout in the evening. It was,
fueled on caffeine constantly.
Yes. And I would not do that again. And I completely understand where you're saying, like, we have this mentality of work. But within the work, and I think drive is very important, but there should be a drive for self-improvement and self-care too. If you're able to put that into your routine, then your work will also thrive, because if you're pouring into yourself, of course, everything else that you do will also flourish and grow.
I completely agree. I so wholeheartedly agree with that. But I think for some people, it's just so hard to see that rest is productive, isn't it?
Yes.
And it's almost like this kind of, you're in your masculine energy, constantly working. But when you're in that energy as well, like, it's really hard to be creative.
Yeah. It's
really hard to like come up with like fresh ideas.
Yeah.
And like, it's the energy, like obviously we're in online businesses, our energy is like so important. So I think people do really struggle with that part. And what are some of the things that you do, Keisha? Like you mentioned, like you go for a walk, you might meditate.
Yeah.
Do you try and have some like daily practices that you do yourself?
Yeah, I have some daily things that I have done since the age of 15. So I will journal every single night before bed. I think I have gone through maybe 12 books of journals or something like that now that are just in my cupboard. I don't know what to do with them, but yeah, I will journal every single night. I'm not doing a Dear Diary type of thing. It's more, my gratitudes, my intentions, my ready to receives, and then three things I appreciate about myself.
Love that.
So I will do that every single night without fail. And then the other thing as well is just finding a time in the day. A lot of the time now ends up being right before bed because that's my me time. I'm not in mummy mode or anything. So I will do some breath work. I'll do some meditation. And my partner actually joins me a lot of the time. So we will meditate before we go to sleep.
Oh, I love that so much.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And in terms of like, say if someone's listening and they might think they have PCOS or they've been diagnosed, like what are some really simple things, like diet-wise, I guess, that they could switch up just to help?
I would say diet-wise, you need to understand what might be causing you inflammation. It might be nothing. It might be nothing. And it might be, so the majority of times I notice people don't actually eat enough. You snack a lot in the day. You might nibble on this biscuit. You might grab a packet of crisps, but you're not eating nourishing, balanced meals. So focus on the meals. Wake up in the morning and make sure that you're having a high protein breakfast. Not just packed with protein though, but with some good added fiber, a good source of carbohydrate, and you're actually taking that time to fuel your body. Think of food as fuel. That will then fuel you up until lunchtime. Lunchtime, again, fuel yourself with protein, fiber, a good source of carbohydrates. Do the same for dinner. And then what you should feel with that is a lot more energy. You won't feel the need to snack. But if you do feel the need to snack on something that, it's going to make you feel a lot better. Maybe something that's not too processed. So something that I really like snacking on recently because the weather's getting a bit warmer, but like cottage cheese, some like vegetable sticks, or you can buy these really nice like barbecue flavored lentil chips that I've been loving. I've forgotten the brand. I think it might be Proper Corn, but they do like a lentil version. I'm like just using that as like a chip and dip. Like that's okay that you can do that. Also making like these protein balls. Meal prep is a lifesaver. So if you meal prep, you can make like these protein balls in advance, these energy balls, and you can just keep them with you in like a little box at work, keep them in your fridge at work or keep them at home. But yeah, those are good things to snack on.
I love that. And when I heard you say carbohydrates, I know people just completely panic, don't they? When they hear carbs, I see this all the time.
It bugs me so much because I'm like, do you realize how important carbohydrates are for our hair, for our skin, for our brain? So you don't have brain fog in the day, for our hormones, for muscle repair. Carbohydrates are not the villain. And the thing that I absolutely despise is on social media, there is a whole group of content creators who demonize carbohydrates, but there is no bad food group. You can eat carbohydrates. Of course, complex carbohydrates will be broken down easier in our body. So if you wanted to go for sweet potato over potato, you can. But I still eat potato. It's just about making sure that you have a good balance of food. So you're not just sitting there and, eating a whole potato, because why would you do that? That's a bit bland. Why don't you have it with a good source of protein? Why don't you have it with some fiber and just make it a good meal so everything digests together and digests well?
Yeah, I love that. And Keisha, obviously now you're a mother and obviously you run a really busy business. We'll come on to all of the motherhood stuff because I know so many of the ladies will be interested in that. But I guess that having this kind of lifestyle requires that that level of discipline. And I think it is discipline. I don't think we should be scared of the word discipline.
No.
So many people get scared of that word as well.
Maybe we can swap the word. I think we should swap discipline for dedication.
Yeah, or devotion.
How dedicated or how devoted are you to yourself? Do you want to be dedicated and devoted to yourself? Because discipline, I think discipline's like
masculine.
The Indian auntie slapping your wrist. Like, let's not do that.
I love that so much. But how do you fit it all in then? Like, because obviously then you'd have to make sure that you're doing like your food shop first of all.
Well, my family doesn't have a choice. They're going to eat what I'm eating because I'm cooking. So everybody's eating well-balanced foods. My daughter's eating well-balanced foods. And, I have clients on board who ended up getting pregnant on our program, now are back postpartum, and their babies, once they're weaning their babies on food, they're also eating meals from the meal plan, because all we're doing is teaching women to eat well-balanced meals. And don't starve yourself. Eat foods. Foods are important for you. So like what I tend to do is I just meal prep. I will cook a meal from my meal plan for the whole family, make it in bulk. And everyone loves it.
I love that. And what's your sort of thoughts on gluten and dairy free? For someone like me, I had to cut out dairy and gluten. I actually did an allergy test last year and my milk was like, you know, when they like color code it, my milk was like really, really high. And I'm like, I don't even drink that much dairy.
Yeah.
But it must have been creeping in somewhere.
Yeah. So I would say if you're allergic to it, then remove it. Just like if you have a peanut allergy, don't eat peanuts.
Yeah.
Right. But if you're not allergic to it or you don't notice flare-ups, you don't need to put yourself in the category of be like, I must now be gluten-free. I must now be dairy-free. I have PCOS. I thought that for a little while as well, even on my own PCOS journey. After I got pregnant, my tolerance to dairy changed. I used to break out whenever I used to have dairy, so I thought that maybe I had some sort of intolerance, which I did. Like I used to get terrible acne all over my back and the back of my legs. And after I got pregnant, my tolerance changed. So now I incorporate dairy. But something that I do even with clients as well is like, let's say if a client says, okay, I'm gluten intolerant, I'll be like, well, if you wanted, like if you're going out to dinner, you can still keep little bits of gluten in, but just be mindful and know, okay, well, if I feel a little bit bloated, that's where it's coming from. I think the self-awareness is very important because then it removes the panic. It removes the guilt. If you know where your inflammation's coming from, it's a lot easier to target. But just because you have PCOS does not mean you need to be gluten and dairy free.
Yeah. And this is the thing. There's so many misconceptions out there, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly.
In terms of blood sugar then as well, what do you think the role of blood sugar is in PCOS? Do you think women with PCOS have higher blood sugar, do you think, in general, or not?
Well, I think the digestion of your blood sugar levels spiking can happen, but a lot of the time, and for a lot of people, and for women with PCOS, I suppose as well, it happens because we're not eating our foods properly together. So if you were to have, you know, a good source of protein, veg, and then you had to have your carbohydrate, let's say if you were to have your veg first, and you know you have PCOS, there we go, it's now lined in your stomach. If you were to then have your protein and then you have your carbohydrate, then breaks down a lot easier. So I think doing everything you can to increase insulin sensitivity with PCOS is really helpful. But loads of things can help you increase insulin sensitivity. Upping your vitamin D can help with that. Going out for more walks, making sure that after you eat a meal, you go for a walk, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes. Helps with you digesting your food, helps you not feel like you've now got food coma, helps with your blood sugar levels.
Yeah, that's so interesting because I completely forgot about have the salad as the starter because it kind of acts like a net, doesn't it?
Yeah. And when you go to a lot of restaurants and they give like the bread first, right? So what happens if you go for the bread first, you might notice, one, you get full up so quickly, and two, you might feel quite lethargic after you eat. But if you were to go for a starter that was a lot more, you know, heavy on the fiber side of things, that's going to help you a lot more.
Yeah, definitely.
And you'll enjoy your meal.
Yeah. And do you think like moving forward, like hopefully maybe less women will suffer from PCOS because there's going to be more awareness now?
I hope so. And I really hope that people can push the idea of not just focusing on your meals and your movement to manage PCOS, because managing hormonal imbalance also comes from working on yourself within. It means when you know that you're in a stressful situation, finding ways to navigate that, or finding little rituals in the day that you can create to keep your stress levels low, finding ways that is going to improve your sleep at night so you have more energy in the day. So something that I'm doing so much more on my page, you might have noticed it, but I am really trying to push that self-care, because, you know, the good meals and the movement, it's all there. Yes, we know what to eat, we know how to work out, but do we know how to take care of ourselves?
Yeah, and this is so important because I think with PCOS as well, it comes from a dysregulated nervous system. So I can definitely see my patterns, like when 2018 circa, like I was in like fight or flight constantly. And now I just, you know, obviously there's going to be times when I'm a little bit stressful, but now I just don't take everything so seriously.
Yeah.
Like I think I had this real perfectionism, kind of like get back to my clients like straight away, give great client service, and I still do that, but I've got a lot more boundaries now, because I think boundaries also go hand in hand with stress. Because I say to my clients now, if you're working with me one-to-one, you know, you can Vox me Monday to Wednesday. I normally get back to you on the same day or within 24 hours. And I think like I had to set those boundaries. Like it's so important for me, because what I was doing was like, especially in my wedding planning days, people just take. Like I was just doing calls like at any time my clients wanted. I was just literally like bending over backwards. And I think, yeah, obviously there's a time and place for giving great service. And I think a lot, like so many of my clients would agree, like Shan is like always there, you know, she's always really approachable. But then I think it is that case of like, it's subtle things like, you know, if you email me, it says like, I'm out of the office. Please expect a response back within 2 working days.
I love that.
Yeah. And if I'm going on Christmas holidays, everyone knows like my out of office, even on Instagram, I just put it on, even though it's like a busy time, because people might be messaging about the event, or, you know, because we have a big event in February, or like they might be inquiring for coaching. But I'm like, no, I have to take that time for myself.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I think women just feel guilty, don't they?
And I don't think you should feel guilty, because if you think about everything in terms of setting boundaries for yourself, that is a way of pouring into yourself. I used to do the same thing. When I first started Fitness with Keisha, I was obviously doing it on my own. I would get back to clients pretty much maybe in the hour.
It was like midnight.
I'm not joking. Like, I did that. I used to have calls. I used to have meetings. I used to do all of those things on the weekend, on a Sunday. And it started affecting my relationship as well. Like to the point that Brad was like to me, he was like, Keisha, he was like, you don't make any time for me. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, but I have a business to run. Like, that's literally what I would say. And I never realized the importance of me taking care of myself. I said it on my story yesterday, but I still have these moments where I'm not perfect on my PCOS journey. I will have weeks or maybe days where I won't eat on plan and life will just get the better of me. And when that happens, I feel myself going into that space that I was in, and I get myself out of it now. But back then I never used to get myself out of it. So I was there helping all these women manage their PCOS symptoms. And oh my goodness, I was fatigued. My hair was growing from my, like everywhere, like my face, everything. And my hair was falling out from my head. And I was like, it's lovely. I'm helping all these people, but I'm going the opposite way. So I must practice what I preach. And if I preach that you must take care of yourself, you must set boundaries, I must do the same. So I did the same thing. You know, I got a team, which was great help. I have the best team in the world. They are amazing. I got myself a Google Calendar, which I live out of.
Yeah, I never used to have a Google Calendar. I don't know what I was doing.
Highly recommend Google Calendar. It's free. And then after that, I just started putting everything in my diary. And I started setting myself no meetings, like blocks with no meetings in blue, gym time, do this for myself, do that for myself. And when I was pregnant, and this is like pregnancy hormones, I guess, but I went back into those ways a little bit. I don't think I've spoken about this on a podcast because it's very embarrassing. But after I gave birth, I recognized that I basically just did a meeting right after I gave birth. I'm just going to jump right into it.
Wow.
I was in the hospital. I had given birth. Ahana was here. Brad was here. I was like, Brad, I have to do a meeting. And honestly, it was like a sporadic, painful situation. I think someone was just being really unreasonable. And I wanted to make sure that this woman wasn't stressed out and just like, you know, please, like, you know, do your thing. And I was so worried about her and her being okay that I had just given birth. I was practicing latching and breastfeeding, and I had to give Ahana to Brad to go on this meeting. And I then sat down after I came out of it and I was like, what on earth is wrong with me? And, you know, it was that reflection of, I didn't have to do that. And that's something the old version of me would have done simply because of the anxiety that I now was like, I now must fit into a new norm of trying to manage everything whilst being a mum. And yeah.
And I think Keisha, it's because we're like nice people and we care.
Yeah,
it's just that. So many people just wouldn't obviously do that.
Yeah.
But I think that you do have to get really strict.
You do.
With yourself.
You do. And I have been. I've been really good at boundaries and everything. I did a lot of self-reflection after that day because I know that was just a couple of years ago. But yeah.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing that.
It's okay.
And it's so insightful, the crazy things we do as female entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And Keisha, talk to me about the motherhood journey.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously your account, I think it's got a following of like over 100,000 followers, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So let's just touch into that first. What do you think helped you grow so much, say on Instagram, for example?
I think just being myself. I also sometimes feel like even now with my like Instagram growth, sometimes it's like a little bit staggered because of like the algorithm and all of that. But I think just being vulnerable and being myself and talking about my experiences, because I'm just like any other girl. I'm just a girl and we go through our crap and I just speak about it, I guess.
And are you quite like strategic with your content, would you say? Or do you just kind of just come up with ideas and you're like, actually, you know what, I'm just going to go with this. Or I'm just going to post this.
I'm a very wing it girl.
I love that.
I just wing it. And if I don't have the creative inspiration that day, I just don't post. But yeah, pretty much every single day I have a wave of creative inspiration. Also, a lot of my clients, why don't I not tell them this? I'm going to tell them this after this. But they give me a lot of creative inspiration because I speak to them about what they're going through.
Yeah.
I will give them that advice one-on-one, and then I'll be like, well, how could I create this into some content? Because what if somebody else is going through the same thing or a symptom is really affecting them like this? So then I'll create content around it.
Yeah. And do you carve out time daily or is it weekly normally you do it?
It's so random. When you see the cooking videos of me and Ahana, it's because we're actually cooking that meal and I have not carved time out. But I was like, do you know what? We're going to cook together. So I was like, let me just stick a tripod on. Or like yesterday, I posted a video of me reading The Very Hungry Caterpillar to her. And it was literally because it was bedtime and I had just given her bath and she loves reading time. So I was like, okay, and I was like, okay, let me just stick my tripod because, hey, this is cute.
I love that.
So then I just like repurpose things. But absolutely everything that you see in my social media is not because I've created time to create the content. It's just because that's the only way I can balance being a parent, managing my PCOS, and just filming to show you guys what I actually do.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, carving out time to do it specifically, it would be a lot.
Thank you so much for being here. If you found value in this episode, then please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. We want to have incredible conversations every week with like-minded women in business and CEOs, and your support honestly means the world to me. So the more you can share this and subscribe to our channel, the more impact we can have for all of us together, and together we rise. And if you were to give someone advice, because obviously you've got like this really amazing mission-led business, and I love that, and that's why I wanted to have you on the podcast. Like, what advice would you give them from a business perspective? Like, you know, it could be anyone in like the whole health and wellness space. What kind of piece of advice would you give? Like maybe 2 pieces of advice that you wish you had when you like maybe first started.
If you have a mission and you know you can help someone in some way, then do it. Like talk about it. Talk about it as though you're going through it and that you've gone through it, and put it out there. It might start off by helping one person, then 2 people, then 3 people, then that third person might tell 4 people. But go in it with love. I do this with every post, like even in like my voiceovers when I do them. Sometimes I'm like brooming the floor and I'm doing a quick voiceover, like I'm just getting it done, and I will put love into it, because a lot of the time in this generation, our world is so fast paced, we forget to give ourselves love. And sometimes someone just needs to hear that and have some hope, whether it's through a voiceover that you do, whether it's through a video that you create. And a lot of the time at the end of my videos, I'm like, and you got this in my voiceover. And the reason why I say, well, you got this is because it feels like sometimes you just don't have it.
Yeah.
And you need someone to remind you that you do have it. And just, you know, Just take control of what you can, and it's okay. So yeah, just if you know that you can help someone in some way, then just put it out there.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's the other thing, isn't it? Because we're now so consumed by hooks and hashtags and reel lengths and trending audio. And I do really miss like the Instagram days of like 2018, where it's just like,
just post.
It was just graphics. It was just so much easier. But I think so many people, I know women especially, get really like bogged down by, oh, it's not perfect. I was on a coaching call yesterday with my masterminders, and they were like, oh, but I keep seeing this other content by other people that it's like so great. But I'm like, you know what? Like if you've got a message, you just have to get it out there and share it. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Also, sometimes things have less reach but are really high value, and you don't need it to reach 1 million people, because what are 1 million people going to do with it? You need it to reach the people who are going to find value from it. You said, oh, Keisha, it's so great you've got so many followers. Some of my reels sometimes get like 5,000 views, and that's okay.
Yeah,
they get 5,000 views, and guess what? Maybe 300 of them might want to, and 5,000 is a lot of people, by the way.
Yeah, that's
I think we forget that.
I know. Imagine if we a room of that, 5,000 people.
We forget that. We forget that on social media. 5,000 is a lot of people. 100 is a lot of people. When you're like, oh, I only got 100 views, I'm like, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
I don't even think I have like 100 people that I text. So it's like, you have to remember, like, don't compare yourself to somebody else.
Yeah.
Views are just views. You have to think about the impact. If you've made a difference to 1, 2, or 3 people's lives, that's huge. That's a life. You know?
I think the other thing is, like, everyone is just, not everyone, but a lot of people are just so in their ego when they're on social media, because it's like they're being led by like the vanity metrics. And I think because we've seen the rise of like so many people with like going viral and getting loads of followers, I think everyone just kind of forgets the point that it's really about the mission and the message and the impact.
And sometimes that happens to me. I find that sometimes my ego is like, I've posted a video and I'll go and check, well, how many views does it have? And I have to rein myself in. I think ego is very normal. And if we didn't have ego, I suppose a lot of things wouldn't actually exist. So ego does drive some things, but then you have to know when to rein that in and realize that actually this is ego, but it's also not realistic. Just, do you, but it's these things are going to happen, and you're going to find yourself comparing yourself, but it's what you do in that moment when you compare yourself. Do you tell yourself, hey, do you know what, let me just be kind to myself, or do you keep going? So in those moments, like, just be kind to yourself.
Yeah, I love that. And Keisha, obviously you've got a team, and I'm a big believer in like outsourcing, getting teams, just getting help and support. And how do you think the team's helped you like scale your business? Like, what has that like looked like for you as well?
Yeah, my team is incredible. So we have a team of PCOS coaches who work within our company and helping coach women. I also coach my own small number, but since having a Hana, I do have to dedicate time to being a parent and all of that. So I coach a smaller number of people who are on a different package and a different program, and then they coach their own like group of girls. And it's incredible because I know exactly who they're coaching. I know what all of those clients' goals are, and we have regular team meetings where I can touch base and I can be like, oh, how's she doing? Like, has she got her period bag? Did she get her ovulation test? But they are able to pour themselves, and they have so much value to give. So our coaches have also experienced PCOS and had years of working with women with PCOS. So when you scroll through my page and you see the client transformations, the majority of the time it is their clients, because they are working with the bulk of the clients. And it's that energy that they pour into these women. Since running a team, though, I've also realized the importance of nurturing your team. So I will say to my team, hey, on a Friday, if you get your work done early, please log off. Like, just go and have a nice time. Or, if you need to you've had a really heavy client call, you need to take like 15 minutes, go out on a walk, just take some time to refresh yourself. In our team meetings, we'll also have times where we talk about how we're feeling, because working with women who are also going through similar things that you've gone through or are going through, it can sometimes feel very heavy. So being able to have an outlet for that is very important.
I love that. And I think, when you're growing a team, like I've always had like assistants in my business. Since starting the podcast, we're like scaling our team massively because we're really keen on like building the personal brand this year.
Yeah.
But like, it's such a mindset shift, isn't it? Now, when I know when people listen to you, they'll be like, oh my God, she's got coaches. And they're like, was there ever a time where you were like, no, I'm just going to do this all myself? Or was there like a specific mindset shift where you thought, actually, I need to bring on other coaches to grow the business even more?
I have some incredible mentors myself who always told me that it takes a team. And I very much believe that too. I feel like even, you know, when I'm doing things and I will always ask my team, I'll be like, what's your opinion? And they'll come to me with better ideas than I even had. That's what I need. I don't know everything and I'm never going to know everything. And, you know, all of us put together, we can at least work together to find more answers, find more research, find more things that are going to help other women. So it was hard initially for me to do that shift because it's like you're passing your baby on to other people. And I found that difficult. But it was then recognizing how incredible my team are and how much I really love them and appreciate them to now thinking that I could not do this without them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think that's so important. And I think what you said about mentorship as well, I feel like every successful person I speak to always like has a mentor as well, because obviously I mentor and coach women in business, but I think it's again so important to have that as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Someone to bounce ideas off of, someone to give you guidance, grow your team, like so many, because there's so many challenges in business as well, isn't there?
Exactly, there are a lot.
Yeah. And in terms of just really quickly going back to the PCOS, like, do you think, because again, this is like another misconception, so I thought let's just clear it up. What are your thoughts on things like HIIT workouts for women with PCOS? Because again, I was advised just don't do HIIT, don't run, do like slow weighted workouts. You can do your classes, but you just make sure that like they're not HIIT classes. You're not like bouncing off the walls like for 50 minutes. Like what are your kind of thoughts on that?
So I think research has changed and there's a lot of new research, even just in this year, on like a lot of statistics websites and research websites that have come out to say that high intensity training does not actually affect women in the way that research once found that it did. There was this whole worry about cortisol, right? But cortisol is still important in our body. It gives us that fight or flight mode. It also tells us when we're in danger. Do we run away if there's like a mouse that comes up to us, type of thing. But when it comes to high intensity training, I'm a strong believer, and my beliefs have changed over time, that you should exercise in the way that you enjoy. I have clients who I work with right now who tell me from the get-go that they really love running or they want to get into running. And I'm like, oh my God, yes. So I will create them a plan to make sure that they're getting their 5K, then their 7K, then their 10K, you know, like they're working on their running goals and they're focusing on running, but they're also getting weight training in because it's so important to build muscle and feel strong. Like feeling strong is amazing. So doing both of those things together can really help. I think that misconception really needs to be chucked in the bin. It definitely, I would say, more of a myth, especially when you look into new research showing that you can do any forms of exercise, even high intensity training will help improve insulin sensitivity.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Just one last question, Keisha. I feel like we could literally chat for hours. Honestly, motherhood and business. So how has that been? And did you take like a maternity leave? And I think this is a thing that a lot of my clients go through, actually. They're like, obviously they're super ambitious. They want to do incredible things in the world. But obviously only the woman can birth the baby, right? It's not like our partners or husbands can. So what was your kind of, were you worried first of all, like the impact of maybe motherhood on your business? Like what was that thought process?
So I wasn't worried. I didn't take maternity leave, no. I worked right after I gave birth.
Did you?
Yeah. My team is actually probably going to listen to this and shake their head because I remember them telling me, Keisha, can you log off? What's wrong with you? They had a meeting with me to tell me that I should not be working. So that gives you a little bit of insight. It's not that I love my job. It's not a job to me. Helping women is just something that I want to live and breathe. I want to help. I want to see people succeed. I want to see people feel their best. So it's just something that over time, it's like a great addiction. I did, however, realize and I sat and reflected about this, but I wish, and I really, really wish I was in motherhood a little bit more right after giving birth. I found it really difficult because my daughter didn't latch properly when I was trying to breastfeed. And so because I was pumping, and I did pump for 5 months around the clock, I was awake every 3 hours for 5 months. So this is even through the night. Then I had to like wash and sterilize. And where my partner would help me, he also would feed her sometimes. So he also needed his sleep. But it was just easier because I'm the one pumping. I'm already up. I might as well just wash and sterilize type of thing. And when I was up during those times, I was working because it's the only thing that kept me functioning and awake. So I definitely loved when I switched to formula at 5-6 months and then I started weaning her. That's just the way I wanted to do it. And yeah, I definitely think that if I was to have another baby, I will take time off this time and I will really be in it, because I wish I did that more upon reflection. I see Ahana now and she's like running around and chatting away, and I'm just like, oh, like I remember those times she was just this tiny little baby and she'd just lay on my chest. I wish I embraced that a little bit more.
And if you were to take time off again, how much time do you think you would take off postpartum?
Probably like 3 months, at least, yeah. But not necessarily like I'm off the face of the earth, but I'd love to be in it a lot more. I think even then I was a little bit of a go mind frame, and I don't think I needed to be in that.
Like that.
I think once you become a parent and a mum, it does change you. It did change me, and I think the way I see things, or the way I want to be now, is very different to even just a couple of years ago. And I guess you can change week from week, can't you, as well? So who knows, maybe I'll change my mind next year.
Yeah. And do you think women can have it all?
100%. 100%. And I think you can have it all. You can enjoy the times. Like now I work, I parent in the day. Ahana doesn't go to nursery or anything yet, but I will take her to baby classes. And I do truly feel as though I'm managing my PCOS because I live that life. It's my life. So it's not something that I need to practice. I just have to eat and move my body, which I do. And I parent, I message my clients, I interact with them, I have calls with them, because it genuinely feels like I'm talking to a friend. So you can have it all. You've just got to really have that love for the all that you have.
I love that. And in terms of balancing business and motherhood, what would be like your top 2 tips, I guess?
My top 2 tips: be kind to yourself. Sometimes it's going to feel like an absolute shit show.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so sometimes it's going to feel like an absolute shit show, and it does sometimes for me as well. And I must say, it takes a village. You're going to find it hard if you feel like you just want to put all the pressure and do it on your own. I have an incredible mother-in-law. I have the best partner in the world. I have an incredible team. So where you might see me on social media with Ahana, there are a lot of people behind the scenes who actually help raise her alongside me. And it really helps. Like my mum is also so hands-on. Like my mum has her today as well. My dad will pop in, and it's lovely. It's lovely to have a team of people that help you, do it all, because it does take a village.
And I think it's also allowing and receiving that support in, because I think a lot of women, especially ambitious women or Asian women, they think, oh, I'll just do it all on my own. And how you do one thing is how you do everything. And I think it's so important. That's what I've learned on my journey, is just allowing to be held and to receive. We don't have to be doing everything on our own.
No.
And I think it's really important. I think in obviously the old culture, like our mothers would do more and the men were like slightly hands off. But I think it's really important also like to actually ask more for help from partners and husbands.
Yes.
I think that's so important. I think so many women just don't do that.
Yeah. Oh my God, no. We have a routine. We have a solid routine of like, in the evening for me to be able to go to the gym. He does Ahana's dinner routine. He does her bath time. He does her bedtime the majority of the days, and she'll go to bed. So I have the evening to myself. He has the early mornings to himself. Then in the middle, we kind of just wing it together.
I love that. It's so important, isn't it?
Yeah, it is important. And I think being able to vocalize when you need help, asking for help it's not you saying that you're weak or anything like that. A lot of things that you do take a village, and it's okay for things to take a village. It's okay for there to be a team behind it. There's a team behind my Instagram, there's a team behind my website, there's a team behind my coaching, there's a team behind Shanti. Like, there is a team.
Yeah, I love that. And actually, just before we finish, I completely forgot about Shanti.
Oh yeah, my other baby.
Yeah, do. Oh my God, they look absolutely incredible. Tell us a little bit about those, Keisha.
So these are my herbal teas. I have been blending these for the longest time. They smell amazing. You can't smell through audio and video, but they do smell good.
They look incredible. They look so amazing.
Thank you. And after I gave birth, actually, I realized that I don't have the time to sit and blend things in my pot.
Yeah.
So I realized that it would be nice to just get these into some good sustainable tea bags that I can just use throughout the day. And I thought it would be really good for the PCOS community as well. So got hormone happiness just for, blood sugar levels, general hormonal balance, inflammation. And then this is a blissful buzz. So, you've got your green mate, you've got ginkgo, ginseng for your energy, you've got spearmint for the androgens, and then sleep tea, because like I said, we forget to take care of ourselves in those small components and like sleep.
Yeah.
So if you have a good quality sleep, and a lot of women with PCOS can suffer from sleep apnea, it's really important. So this is a good one. Got valerian roots, spearmint, lemongrass, rose hip, hibiscus, and all that goodness.
Oh my God, I love that so much.
Thank you.
Keisha, we could talk forever, I feel like. We could literally talk forever. Maybe there can be a part 2. But if anyone wants to connect with you, follow you, where can they find you?
So you can find me on social media. All my socials are Fitness with Keisha, and my website is www.fitnesswithkeisha.com. And if you wanted to get these teas, they are available on TikTok Shop, but they are also available on the website. It's www.drinkshanti.com.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Keisha.
Thank you for having me. This was lovely.
Thank you. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Your support honestly means the world to me. And I will see you here next week, same place, same time.